At least they can't get the Phantom Assassin. That's one of the heroes that you will not be able to run back, unfortunately, for Na'Vi. But we will get solo Shaman, I imagine. Sweden Strong, at least from what I've seen through his games on Nova in the Dota 2 Champions League. He hadn't run the Shadow Shaman. I imagine he's just more comfortable on the Coddle. And solo looked pretty solid on the Shadow Shaman. So this gives you a nice way to be able to jump into the fights. And we get Vatoon's Terrorblade along with it.
Pretty decent. I mean, the Mars is going to make his life a little bit more challenging later on, not necessarily from a killing perspective, but just blocking out what the illusions are able to do if the arenas are placed in a good spot. You can have the meta popped, but all those illusions, doesn't matter if you've got a BKB or not, they're just going to keep hammering into the walls.
I imagine you look for your Ramses hero now, considering you still don't know about what the mid matchup's going to be. So... are there any that really stand out to you?
I'm considering a PL here. It's good against the Terrorblade. It's great against the Shadow Shaman. Coddle and Pango, not so much, but you can even look to get some kills super early on with the Grimstroke if you put the Grim as a 5 this game. And, you know, put the Inkswell onto him when you're going for these super early dives onto someone like, you know, the Keeper or the Pango before they get their levels up.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of other routes you could even think. I know Morphling's been someone that's typically been very good versus Terrorblade. I'm a bit pessimistic on the Morph at the moment. Shaman could be a bit of a concern. You have even the threat of like a Drow Ranger. I know Pango can get on top of you. You still don't see the position 2, but you can kind of protect it now in the second phase. You got Mars, that's really good. Arena just to jump in, act as that bodyguard. DP as well. They're going to go down the Lina route. So it's similar. You can late game... You can act as kind of the Drow Ranger in a way where you just have this ridiculous amount of attack range. You also have a lot of magic as well. You're easily able to deal with the Terrorblade, but you're a boosted travel builder. And I think that's also a big thing of why you want to pick the Lina here, because you can have kind of a lane issue. So the fact that Lina can kind of clean up the lanes and join the fights early is going to be a big advantage that CIS Rejects have in this draft.
Yeah, that attack range is great, plus all of the... Like, it just gives you that tiny little bit of extra lockdown. Previous game, they had, what, a Sand King, and that was about it, other than the Electric Vortex. So there wasn't really anything that could prevent the Terrorblade from getting a lot of farm done. This time around, they've got 3 separate stuns coming through. Some of them are a little bit more delayed than others, but certainly do have the potential with the Boots of Travel, like you were saying, to make that aggressive stuff happen. And you can see with Na'Vi, they're realizing that this Lina is the true carry for CIS Rejects right now. It certainly doesn't fit with Ramsey's style to kind of take a little bit more of the back seat, but Kunkka being removed, he is that playmaking position 1 that you tend to go for when you have this, you know, a TA or a Lina playing in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think now CIS Rejects need to look for a melee carry, especially because now with picking up the Lina, you're really reliant on the Mars to get usage out of the Inkswell to be able to jump. And with that Beastmaster ban, my eyes are towards the Faceless Void now. It's a hero that we see a little bit, definitely not as prioritized as much. I think the carry matchup's pretty good versus the Terrorblade. You're going to have a decent lane versus Pango plus Coddle. It's a lot of nuke.
Great Void game.
Say that again?
It's a pretty great Faceless Void game.
Yeah, so that's definitely what I'm looking at here for CIS Rejects. Or maybe a bit of a deterrent.
Is it? I mean, if you're on point, Puck is squishy if you're able to just lock him in place, right? Yes, you could just Dream Coil him and then he can't time walk away, but... Oh, they wouldn't Nature's Prophet, would you?
Yeah, I'm considering it.
To be able to have increased, you know, global potential looking to come through. Puck's pretty good at clearing out waves, though. And you'll have the Ghost Push coming from TB as well with his illusions, but it's a possibility. Again, it's not the hard carry of the game, right? That's going to be the Lina. Go the Void. Nice call. I mean, it's good for the laning stage. I wonder if they're even going to potentially put this Grim with it. No, it's still going to be FNG, but once you get to that stage where you're able to get a little bit more active, Roger plus Faceless Void, the Inkswell, it just gives you that little bit of an extra layer of lockdown for your team. So I like the fact that they've gone for it. I think the bans were on point, like you were saying, but he's going to need to, like I said, play it a little bit more of this playmaking style, because you don't want to let a TB sit back and farm, and you want to make sure that you can catch out people like the Puck and the Pangolier before they get those real movement-enabling items that allow you to dodge out a lot of the aggression coming in onto you.
I still have concerns with the Faceless Void, even though I thought it was one of the better carries suited for the draft to CIS rejects. I think for me, he's going to be vulnerable in that lane. It can be a lot of bursts that might catch you off guard. Of course, sometimes it's nice actually playing to burst just so you can get that health back. But a full charged up blast from the tree line into like a shield crash is a ridiculous amount of damage. If Time Walk's on cooldown, that's a concern. But you have arguably one of the best laning phase supports at the moment. So I think all eyes on FNG with how it can really enable Ramses to have a good lane. Maybe we can see Roger get active as well. The power runes from Depressed Kid if you get a haste and invis. So I think we have a really good solid setup for our second game. I think it's quite an even draft like game one. So this puts us in a perfect position here.
I'd say it's pretty even. I mean, we saw in that game number one, right? No one in Sweden Strong pairing up together with the Pangolier and the Keeper of the Light just for gank attempts in the middle of team fights. He was constantly the one having a lot of his spells refreshed by the Chakra Magic. So let's see if Laze is on the same level as that connection coming through there. Because to me, it seems like that's what NaVi's been working on. The connection coming through from their players, constantly looking to play around together.
Danog, the ultimate question is, can this go the distance? Do we have a full best of 3 on the line? Is CIS-R just going to take this second game, or will NaVi sweep them 2-0?
All right. Putting me on the spot here. I really like the Lina into this matchup, right? I don't feel like they have an amazing way to continuously lock him down, and you are a hero that is forced to go at early-ish BKB, and it's going to be great against the Puck, it's going to be great against the Pangolier, it's going to be great against the Shadow Shaman, right? So especially since that Pango change. So for people that aren't aware, with the Rolling Thunder, if it goes on top of you and stuns you once, and even if you're right on top of him, like you time it perfectly for the chain stun, you've got this tiny little window where you can actually pop these instant items, like a Hood of Defiance, BKB, for example. You can use Rage, you can use Blade Fury on the Juggernaut. So you can have that way to disjoint the combinations, and I just feel like that bumps up the effectiveness of this spell immunity so much more, and really makes the Pangolier not necessarily that first phase potential. But with Navi's ability to flex it, I think it could still work for them.
Attack CIS rejects are going to wander in a bit aggressively. See if they can catch up with Toon. Navi's doing the same thing top, but actually they will not go into the jungle, so it's going to be 3 for 1 in regard to
CIS, they got it.
All you need was see the bounty rune advantage. Look at this. Laser's gone for a bracer first item on the Pangolier. It's a very interesting start.
I suppose just feeling like he's going to be brawling a fair amount. I mean, what we see from the DP, you said that they've got this Keeper of the Light, they've got this Pangolier, and it's going to make that the potential death for Ramses a possibility, but FNG is just going to be playing up in their face constantly, wanting to make sure that he's not taking the brunt of that aggression. He uses the first time walk there. It's not as big of a deal just because you've got such long cooldowns on the Pango and the Coddle, but yeah, FNG, he's just playing the distraction game right now.
And I think this lane also all comes down to how the hard camp is going to be controlled. Often the small camp is not as much utilized in a lane where there's a Coddle, just because the enemy team is going to be farming under the tier 1 tower, so you don't often play off the back of small camp pulls. But the Coddle lineup wants to shove it in, reset the lane with the hard camp, and you see FNG's already blocked this.
Yeah, really important when that shove is happening. Well, he's already taken one Courier. So it's a 50-50. The important thing is that you're taking away some of his HP. Get him to use those tangos.
As we look at bottom, Batoon already forced to use a very early salve, so the spam from Miro, along with Roger, putting Batoon under the pump.
We don't have any of my favorite sentry wards, though, in the mid lane. I feel like it's pretty important whenever you've got a Lina and a Puck, both heroes that love to take those small camps, so sentry blocking can result in a big net worth swing for you if you're able to get it. No one's on point today. His Pango gameplay was great, and he's dodged out 2 Dragon Slaves now.
One is a exceptional position too. We saw him for quite some time on the main stage and just tearing apart teams limb by limb. Has always been one of the most exciting position 2s to watch, and you know, he really wants to be able to get back to that land stage, and like you said, with the performance that he had on the Pangolier in game 1, and we'll see if he can set himself up in this second game. But How does his matchup shape up, really, for no one against the Depressed Kid Lina? Is he going to have a good time early?
I wouldn't say so, no. I think if you get away with trading farm, you're pretty happy with it, but Lina is just going to get the better end out of any kind of right-click trades just because you've got that extra range, plus the extra damage coming through there.
Or maybe eyes on how NaVi can enable no one in regards to the water runes and the power runes. Do you feel like either side maybe has a better lineup in regards to supports to help rotate and secure some of these?
I don't think either one really wants to leave, right? Because you've got kill potential in all lanes, honestly, except maybe top. But FNG, I feel, can't leave, because if he does, then the Faceless Voids farm is going to be hindered by a pretty significant amount.
We do see that Ramses is off to a flying start. Top of the last hits compared to Lay's only 9 at the moment, so all eyes on Ramses and how he can continue this strong start, but I think also props have to be given to FNG. He really struggled on the Death Prophet in game 1. You know, we saw they opened up with it as their first pick. NaVi addressed it very heavily, and they've really just looked to put him in the bin through the entirety of the game. FNG kind of couldn't get a grasp of that one, but maybe the second game is going to be something different, as Lay's under a little bit of damage. But you see
what side?
Yeah, he's going to be able to get out of harassment. Back to the safety of the T1 towers, Vatoon.
Would have died if Solo wasn't there with the 2 points in the shackles. He's even tanking up a few of those creeps as well with the extra heal now that you get from shackles, so nicely done.
Wait, look at this. This is a cool play. CIS rejects. An aggressive glyph, but they're not going to get anything out of it. I think it was for them down bottom. I'm not quite sure.
I didn't quite see it myself. I was looking at the mid lane where they were able to take away both of those water runes, sweet and strong, making the rotation through, realizing that, well, FNG, he's gotten up to that level 2 and he's done a really good job at protecting Ramses, so let's just try and make the Puck's game a little bit easier.
So for Puck to be able to catch back up in a way, I mean, mid's really not bad. He's about 100 net worth comparison, just behind Depressed Kid, but is his game early on going to be off the back of just putting emphasis on side lanes, or does no one play his own game? Just shove up mid, farm the jungle, look to get that first item and go from there?
I think you'd shove out mid a little bit just to make sure that the Lina Death Prophet lane isn't going to take any objectives in your absence, but you got to make a rotation up towards this top lane, right? Dream Coil, you already mentioned the strength of a Pangalia against a Faceless Void, and you're going to be able to charge a full Coddle Blast in a Dream Coil as well, so you've got plenty of tools to be able to take out Ramses and slow his farm down.
The one thing that I'm looking at the moment is that this bottom lane, even though Miro's having a good time, 25 last hits, but the levels isn't quite translating. He's a bit behind Lays in regards to the Pango's levels, and I think level 6 is where CIS rejects can open up some kill potential on the Terrorblade, or even just getting First Blood on Solo if we haven't got a First Blood by then.
And a big part of that is the Coddle making the rotation towards the mid lane, right? Where they weren't able to go for a kill onto the Pango. We got a little bit more of that solo experience. I would say the bigger thing to consider is that Ramses, he's got that half-level lead over the Pango, despite the fact that he's been playing with FNG for a lot of the time. So, in the laning stage, I'd say CIS
Coil's out. Sweet and Strong's going to try and charge up the blast. The rotation starting to come into play, but they're actually going to turn to attempt to bring no one down. But raindrops paying dividends, but at least they do secure the double damage rune now for Depressed Kid, and with Coil on cooldown, I guess you trade Laguna Blade for it, but maybe this might open up a window for CIS rejects.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, early on, it doesn't feel like you could really do much of anything. You had the rotation through from both of the supports. Side lanes weren't punished, so I think he's happy to just continue to go back and farm, get that boots of travel for himself. It means that you're not quite as worried about the Puck making the rotation through and killing you again, right? At least for the next 30 seconds.
What can either side to do to really unlock this early game? Because of course we're still killless in our second game. So what are we looking for early to be able to find our first blood?
I still think it needs to be that attempt on top, right? I think it was just purely the fact that they had a rotation or two towards the mid lane, particularly from the Coddle, that Puck even attempted to go for that onto the Lina. But Just things didn't work out. He had a bunch of stick charges at the time, so he was able to tank through a lot. I still think he just needs to make the rotation.
It's going to be bottom.
Right.
No one. Coil with another use of the Metamorphosis here from Vatoon. They're going to close the distance on Miro, but Roger, a zoning Inkswell, puts his body on the line. So Roger's going to be killed off, giving over first blood, but at least Miro will not give that one away. So the Mars just limps back to the safety of the tier 1 tower.
I suppose you're still able to get the first blood, but I mean, I was saying before how good Ramses was doing with his last hitting. He's still got, even with that first blood, a 500 net worth differential over the Terrorblade. So certainly getting those creeps was never an issue for what Ramses is able to do, that's for sure.
On the river, solo and no one. They're going to get another one. Back to back on Roger. Is going to walk back into the blast. And it's going to be Sweet and Strong that hits the feed now for NaVi for the second time.
Even looking to take up, build up some of these stacks and accelerate his farm even further on Depressed Kid. Sweet and Strong. Nice recognition, though. It should reveal that they've got the Observer Ward there.
Well, you got your ultis now on Dire, so I imagine they're going to look to try and get a pick off. Ramses, Chrono, Mask of Mana, so Lays always has to be have some consideration of the Faceless Void, and even bottom as well, Miro with the Arena. So you see Radiant have vacated away. In fact, Solo is going to look to try and soak up some of the dead lane.
Feel very happy with how this laning stage has gone, though, right? All cores ahead at the moment on CIS rejects, even though the kills have gone the way of NaVi.
Top, they're going in. Ramses first Chrono. Roger, that was all they really needed, I believe, although maybe not. They don't get really lucky with the bashes, and now no one in Lays can turn it around. It's a beautiful coil to enable the Rolling Thunder. But Ramses, he's got 4 points in the time log, so this is back up and available for him to retreat to the tier 1, but I mean, that's a big use. You don't get use out of the Chrono, something that could have given an injection of gold into the carry of Ramses.
It really felt like they could have made that turnaround potential and actually gotten the kill onto the Void if you had one of the other supports there, right? Keeper of the Light had the TP scroll available, but always conscious of making sure you're not losing too many of your own objectives. It's the Puck, the Keeper of the Light, great at building up and taking stacks. So you don't want to lose that mid-tier 1 tower and prevent it from happening.
As you see, it's a nice read from NaVi. The solo behind the tier 1 tower. There we go. They're onto FNG, but Depressed Kid might be able to hit the board for the first time on CIS rejects. Cuts down the life of the Shadow Shaman thanks to Laguna Blade. But again, like, that's really cool from NaVi. What? Oh, hold that thought, Depressed Kid. Can he land the LSA onto Sweet and Strong, the Cuddle? A bit too speedy to get out. So they saw the Lina TP down bottom, off the back of the Boots of Travel, so instantly NaVi put some pressure on mid. They wanted to force CIS rejects back to otherwise trading bottom for tier 1, and hence it just forced the Dire side to be able to rotate back instead of getting this tier 1 bottom for free.
Still do have a decent amount of push coming in, though. I mean, Solo's made the rotation through. Puck just wants to push out this mid wave, perhaps a little bit stronger. Make the TP down bot.
Poor Solo. They have now put themselves under the tier 1 tower. The rest of NaVi, they're moving their way down to bottom. Soulbind's going to hold them back. A beautiful usage from Roger, but it looks like Miro, he should still be killed off as no one has got the abilities back up shortly. But they're going to be off the mark, and Miro is still limping to the safety of the tower. No one can continue the chase, but now Ramses is in. He needs to get pretty lucky with the bashes here. There's the first one, but the second just lacking as no one jukes to the west.
A lot of this attention on bot side, though, means that mid tower going down. The pair of FNG and Depressed Kid able to take that tower away, and makes it so much easier to now invade the areas where Vatoon is potentially looking to farm. He parks himself inside the triangle for now, wanting to see where exactly FNG is showing on the map, as well as the Lina, but perhaps having an understanding that they were quite low on mana, so not feeling too concerned as he goes straight into the Ancient Farm.
Did Vatoon buy one too many Band of Elven skins? I haven't seen the Terrorblade in Eastern Europe, so I don't know if this is their read on the hero where they like having 3 bands.
No, it's the new meta. It's like the Storm Spirit, you know, with all the null talismans. You just get the bands instead.
Alright, well, CIS rejects a 2,000 net worth lead. The Lina has been untouched so far this game. Boot to travel, already one component towards the BKB, and it's going to be Dire that try and make a smoke play. But where is the angle and where are the kills they can find?
They're walking towards where they think the TB might be farming because there's no T1 tower, no one's revealing on the bottom side of the map because they were just there. They try and find him out, and they do.
He's going to run straight into them. Roger,
not enough,
nice play from Ramses. He walked back into Roger, but it doesn't matter. The ink spell too late. Ramses now has to get out. Again,
soulbind.
A beautiful soulbind from Roger, really cutting away any effectiveness that the Pangolier can have. Side the river, Miro, going to be a little bit too late. They're on to Lina. There's a high valuable target to Preskid. Killed off. Top of the net worth finally brought down. And now they've got the coil control as Ramses is killed off along with them. Oh, a huge fight for NaVi. They survived the corner once again. It even finds a third target to their name.
Just getting a little bit too antsy there. I feel like things could be absolutely different if he just waited for the Mithril Hammer. He was about 400 gold away from being able to buy that one up on Ramses. He would have had the Chrono, he would have had the Maelstrom. Plenty of damage to be able to take out this Terrorblade, but instead, it was a lot of physical damage being pumped into a TB who's got 22 armor at this stage. Yeah, you got a little bit extra with the Javelin and the Time Lock procs, but it just wasn't enough.
Now, instantly NaVi moving to top. See the replay back here, just a little bit too late, that ink swell. Ramses, he tried to move to the right of the chrono, closer to Roger, so we could get that ink swell. But unfortunately, yeah, the timing not on the mark there, and NaVi, they just capitalized on that. Even though we've seen the soulbind be a big issue for Lays through these fights, it doesn't matter. Chrono on cooldown, a perfect Serpent Ward's block from Solo as well, and my guy is having quite a second game on the Shadow Shaman, who is not an easy hero to play by any stretch as a position 5, but Solo is showing that he can prove it out.
Not against all these stuns and silences and lockdowns that you've got to play up against, yeah, that's for sure. He's died twice, but he's enabled so much more for the rest of his team. What I'm really looking at is, you know, what are they going to go with their first items here on the Pango in particular, and he's still just going to go back into that Diffusal Blade. I actually like it a fair amount, right? You've got very low mana on the Faceless Void and the Mars. What can you really do if you're getting just caught in the middle of a team fight? You don't have any mana to be able to time walk or anything like that. And even the Lina, prior to picking up that BKB, is going to feel a little vulnerable. You are a hero that needs to be consistently casting your spells to be able to get a lot of those fiery soul stacks refreshed. So, see another coil up on the top side against FNG. Doesn't work out this time.
Seeing the net worth though. Ramses was on top. Oh, who have they run into? Solo. Looks like he will be killed off down to the Radiant Jungle. In fact, he's able to piggy on out of there, but yeah, we saw Ramses was ahead of V2 for quite some time. It's flip-flopping back and forth. Of course, Silly Me as well, V2, and that triple band of Elven Skin. Of course, going to work perfectly when you go into the Dragonlance. So he's got this one completed. The Skadi is going to be the next on the agenda for Vitoon, but it's still... Yes, Dive struggled through these past couple of fights, but the cause is still getting farm. You've got Depressed Kid top of the net worth. Ramses is still getting a lot of farm out of it. So is Miro. Like, he's not crazy farmed on the Mars, but he should still be able to... Oh, okay. Well, let's just try
a couple of times now.
Let's let some voice lines get out.
Yeah. I mean, all you can really do at that point is laugh it off, right? Oh, if we caught out here, Solo with another use of the Hex, but it's just enough to be able to get out of harm's way. Unfortunately, means that Observer Ward is going to be removed. Trying to pick up some of these squishier kills, knowing that the Arena of Blood isn't available anymore. Same sort of thing with the Phantom's Embrace, but not lucky enough there is no one.
Lane Depressed Kid, it's a backstab from Lays, but he's got the BKB, so an instant use from Depressed Kid. Are you happy, I think, with the trade? That could have been a big window. In fact, no one wants to fight. The Witchblade will tick out FNG, but the Chrono is there. It's on the mark, but the damage once again, it's not going to be lacking. Depressed Kid, this time they'll get conversion out of the third Chrono. So the first two hasn't been on the mark, but all they needed was the Lina there to offer that burst inside the bubble.
Key pick-off that you needed, right? The puck has been making a ton of space around the map so far for NaVi. First death, getting a lot of that gold over. It only went to Roger, but Ramsey's finally getting good value out of one of his ultimates.
Look at this. Solo's like, yeah, why not drop some Serpent Wands to claim the tier 1 mid, but he's even going to be a nuisance to Miro, maybe. Yeah, I mean, there we go. First death onto no one's puck. And I tell you what, Eastern Europe, I'd say one of the best regions to play the puck. I mean, you've got the likes of GPK, who I always see destroy on it. I mean, you could really list off any position too in this region, and they know how to play the puck. And it's not a horrible puck game by any stretch. Like, they will struggle to kind of deal with no one. It feels like it's maybe off the back of this nighttime, having vision advantage, getting a spear from the fog, or maybe the silence from the Grimstroke, potential chrono when he's not wary of it. But it's definitely not a free game, but it's also a game where no one could take over.
He's banking on the outplays, basically, going into the Yule Scepter as his next item, wanting to, of course, avoid the silence. But even if he's able to get the right positioning for it, just, for example, Yule's up the Faceless Void inside of his Chronosphere, dodge out Light Strike Arrays, dodge out Spears inside the Mars Arena, just things like that.
So the net worth lead continuing to grow for CIS Rejects. They're kind of back and forth mid lane. They might jump. No one's in trouble here. Mira, can he time the spear? It's going to be off the mark. Once again, though, the Soulblind really minimizing how much effectiveness you're getting out of the Rolling Thunder. But Vatoon, he's looking to show up to the fight with Metamorphosis pop. CIS Rejects instantly retreating away, but the duo supports unable to get out of the area. Is now NaVi. They're thinking about Roshan, and why not?
Yeah, for sure. It's a very successful team fight. You've still got the duration there on the Metamorphosis. You had to, you don't have the Mass Serpent Wards, but you've got plenty of damage to be able to take this one. Not having to worry about the Chronosphere as well, I'm sure. Solo's keeping track of the timer for that, just to make sure that, well, if there's no Mars Arena and there's no Chronosphere, there's no team fight.
And how do you counter a Chronosphere, Danog?
Aegis or Wraith King.
Oh, no.
Or Aeon Disc.
That's true. Oh, mid lane? Mirror. He's going to be up. Just gets up. Well, this is a big window now for NaVi. You have the second life to be able to play with. An incredible way to be able to deal with the Chronosphere. In fact, Ramses just drops it down. Why not? Runs into both supports, clips the Coddle on the outskirts, and, well, that's a better use of the Chronosphere from Ramses. Beautifully done. Gets the double. Hey, give him
it really does feel like... No. He's got to get back. He's got things to do, places to be. But Ramses, you can see there, just while he's still waiting for that BKB to come out to him, it might be on the way now. Yeah, it is. So, again, he's playing that more active style, right? You need the Mask of Madness, you need the Maelstrom to be able to A, farm, B, do damage, C, stay out on the map with a lot of that regen. But BKB was an absolute necessity after that, just because you need to be the one going in first. I like the fact that he used the Chronosphere there onto the two supports, because if the Shadow Shaman's dead and you're inside the Chronosphere, no one else is going to be lock you down from doing anything. And, well, he lucked out being able to take out the Coddle too, so the Blinding Light wasn't even a factor.
Is it still go time, though, for NaVi? Like, even though they have the Aegis, is this more of a farming Aegis, or will they be able to get objectives off the back of this?
I'd say they might just want the Skadi on Vatoon. He's so close to being able to pick it up, about 500 gold away, and then maybe look to make some conversions after the fact. But it doesn't seem like CIS Rejects want to give them that opportunity, realizing how effective the Skadi is going to be against this Lina in particular.
Easy T2 Tau. Looks like it will be a trade nonetheless. I don't imagine Dire are looking to try and defend top, especially with the Chronosphere on cooldown, but we do have some items starting to be picked up. I think the big one is that BKB here for Ramses, and Depressed Kid is getting closer to the Silver's Edge as well, so he will be dumping out a lot of damage inside the bubble.
It's been a long time in the games that you and I cast, at least, that we actually see a true hero that loves to play into the Chronosphere. And Lina is probably like #1. So the fact that they've been able to get both, and they've been able to get to this stage of the game, yeah, you lost Aegis, and you're down on the kills, but you're up on net worth. There's another team fight.
Just a measly old smoke and a kill onto the Grimstroke. Nothing too crazy. Do they have meta? They might posture actually for this tier 2 tower. See, Mira's actually going to jump. Catches out Solo. Push him underneath the T2 tower, but Vatoon's in quite a position to posture aggressively. He's trying to beat onto Depressed Kid under the tier 2. Is chasing him down. The Skadi slows something that Depressed Kid doesn't have an answer to. But a beautiful timing on the LSA. Retreat safely. Oh no! Oh, Ramses! No, no, no. Well-deserved tip, and looking to pounce on the opportunity inside the base, past the tier 2, past the tier 3. F&G's killed off, but that's all they'll get.
Oh, I love that. Just still on the retreat and able to get the tip off onto Ramses. Let him know exactly what he just did. And well, they are going to be able to take out that tier 2 tower. You would assume. You got a creep wave just about to reach there. For whatever reason, Solo not killing the creeps. So they've got the backdoor protection for the remainder of the duration there of the Metamorphosis. But again, you don't have to worry about the Chronosphere. It really does feel like Ramses is going to want to take a little bit more of a backseat, at least until he's got this Mjolnir available for himself. And that'll enable him to probably have that level 3 Chrono available. And that's going to be the big team fight for CIS Rejects.
Is there still anything they can get out of this Aegis for a minute 10? Or are you more than happy with 2 tier 2 towers and to cut this net worth lead down to only 1,000 on CIS Rejects?
I think you're happy to just secure farm around the enemy side of the map, right? Know where they're going to play. Because the Metamorphosis is up in 35 seconds, right? So you're only going to have like that 15-second or so window. And
oh, bottom lane, but no way, Solo! He got the Hex out. F&G can cancel the shackles. In fact, Ramsey, all right, well, never mind. He's going to turn this one back around. So Solo killed off. Nothing crazy expended. Oh, that was the first duration of the BKB, so now playing with the 8-second charge.
Yes, Solo was just a little bit slow on the shackles there, maybe expecting for the Pango to clip in and lets them know about it.
He's just going to be careful if he oversteps the mark. In fact, Miro will pounce instantly. Beautifully done as Miro finds that initial stun. All they were requiring for Depressed Kid to step in and offer the burst. Hang on a second. Tying up Ramses. Uh-oh, Ramses has already used Time Walk. Gonna see him. Can he get out? They know the BKB is on cooldown. They're going to be perfect with the control, and they are. Coil used afterwards. CIS Rejects, though. Do they want to converge on the area? A pincer move could be under play. As Miro jumps, pushing Sweet and Strong to the river, closer to Depressed Kid. And that will give the Leonot now level 20 along with the Silver's Edge Gold.
It's big timing. I mean, even with all these kills getting picked off onto the high-value targets, CIS Rejects still ahead in win probability as well. 62% for them, picking up some of these big timings like you mentioned there. And honestly, the Brigand's Blade, probably one of the better items for Alina to have just because of how much of a machine gun you turn into. Just gives you those armor-piercing rounds as well.
And I really like the read that Depressed Kid has at the moment. It's going to be into the Hex next item. We have seen no one be quite an issue. They haven't been able to find that initial stun, which is all you really need. If you get that first stun, then all of a sudden you've got LSA, you've got Spear, you've got plenty other things to be able to follow, but you need that instant Hex. I was considering maybe Mars to go into it, but Miro's... he's having a pretty decent game, but it's not crazy where the Mars can kind of go with any item. It can go like luxury items, I suppose I should say. So I like this though for a Depressed Kid.
They've actually got an Aghanim Scepter here on Roger as well.
Level 12.
Yeah, if you can get that onto the TB, you're laughing.
They're going to smoke, but Ramses isn't there and he cannot connect to the team, so not having the Chrono could be a big concern for CIS Rejects. They're going to run straight into Vatoon. They're grouped up and Miro's going to pounce. But where's the burst? Where's the damage? Vatoon's going to be fine and they can stand their ground and fight off the back of the BKB. They're targeting Miro down at the moment. Underneath the secret shop, look at Depressed Kid, just a machine gunner. They never kill Miro into the last second. Who cares about the Faceless Void? It's all eyes on Lena as Depressed Kid. Just pummeling to the heroes of Na'Vi. They'll lose 3 for the price of 1.
Doing more than 3,000 damage as well. He was by far the most influential hero in that team fight. And like you said, not even needing Ramses for that component. Going to get the Arcane Rune as well. And that's a pretty big deal for a Faceless Void. It makes a hero that is very reliant on those long cooldown abilities. Not anywhere near as much so. Almost hitting up onto that level 20 as well. I wonder if he's going to go the time lock damage. No, going to attack speed inside the Chronosphere. The reason I say that is because he already has so much attack speed just through the Mask of Madness and the Mjolnir that I was thinking maybe he could consider to just look to buff up the damage as opposed to the attack speed.
It's net worth lead. Yeah, it's the highest that it's been throughout this second game. Up to 6k for the side of CIS Rejects, and we've even seen off that fight, it's given F&G enough gold for the gem, and this game is all on the back of initiation. Dire, you've got the potential Chrono or the Mars jump. For Radiant, you've got the Puck or the Pangolier in the Rolling Thunder. And in fact, they're going to see no one TPing out, but do not have a stun nearby, so he will be out of there. But again, I love Eastern Europe, man. They go for these early gems. It's such an undervalued item, but you know, this region, they definitely put the value on it.
The early gems, you also were lucky enough to get the Psychic Headband available there on Navi's side, so that's given over to Solo. Just gives you so much more of that ranged teamfight initiation, right? He's already got the 8th lens for himself, and the important thing, you were talking from CIS Rejects before, how you wanted that instant initiation. Well, the hero that's going to have it soon is Depressed Kid. He's almost got the sheep stick for himself, so he wants to be able to get in onto those squishier heroes, most notably the Puck. If you can lock him down, doesn't have an Aeon Disc, doesn't have a Lincoln Sphere, so it's a very quick way to be able to burst him down.
Radiant, they're smoking outside the base. They, I believe, just got a glimpse of Ramses farming. He's going to move away from the area, so they don't have much vision to play with on Radiant. They need to try and get a ward down by the high ground and take a fight there. They don't have any wards, so Solo doesn't have one, Sweet and Strong doesn't have one, so this is... Oh, nice scan.
Seem to be so on point with these scans all the time, just constantly being able to read how each other are playing. I suppose that's one of the benefits as well between these two teams in particular, considering they've got ex-players, ex-teammates playing for each other.
See, though, the issue? It's a beautiful thing about the Shadow Shaman. You don't have to commit heavily. You just drop wards down, send a couple of illusions. All of a sudden, CIS Rejects, they're forced to kind of lose some of their map pressure. I guess Depressed Kid just come back, so it's not like the whole team has to leave the enemy side of the map.
I would say so as well. I mean, the main thing right now is you have fallen a little bit behind, right? And you're going to hit these really big timings soon on the level 20 mark, or sorry, the level 20 point for both the Puck and the Terrorblade. Extra waning Rift cooldown, for example. Just if you're able to use that onto the supports, is a great way to be able to lock them out of a team fight much more frequently.
Yeah, we really haven't put much emphasis on Vatoon and the items he's getting and the farm he's been getting, but how scary is he going to be in these fights? Like, how much emphasis do CIS Rejects have to put onto the Terrorblade?
I mean, it really depends on the position that the arena's able to get off, right? Because if the arena's on point, like I was saying during the draft, TP's illusions don't do anything. You know, they're just going to be hitting into the walls there. So your main hero might be able to pop meta.
Look at this, Danog. Look at this ward. Oh, it's paying off dividends for CIS Rejects. But they just get the Shaman.
Just go on.
That's okay, though, because Roche is up, so one pick-off into Roche. They ping it out, I believe, but no one's nearby, and it's going to fall incredibly fast. So a 3-second Roche given over to the lads on Dire.
No one's at bot.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I knew that was going to come up. I told myself
today... You gotta
today,
make it not easy for me.
I know. I told myself today I was going to try and put a conscious effort to say nobody. What's going on?
Hold on. Just having a look at Depressed Kid. He's been able to pick up that Scythe of Vice, so... Oh, inside the Silver Edge. I was wondering if he might have been able to pick off the Puck there as he was looking to maybe get the last hit onto the tower. Instead, he didn't use it, rather. I thought he used it to clear one of the illusions with the TB. Might still end up losing this tower anyway.
And you see the read now as well from no one. He's thinking about the Lincolns because he needs this item. Now into Hex, there is a condition for him to be killed off, but Danog, they got the best neutral item. They got the Fade Grenade, which is pretty much... You would love to get Fade Grenade in every game with the Puck just because of how cool Lincoln's is on this hero. So now Depressed Kid, he can run around with the Fade Grenade if he wants to. Yes, Brigand's Blade is exceptional for him, but all you need is that Fade Grenade, pop the Lincolns, get the Hex out, and he'll be killed off.
I'd probably give it to Miro, right? Like, you're not going to be on top of the Lena. She might get that Light Strike Array for the initial stun onto the Puck, and then it's up to him, because he's the only one with a Blink Dagger. I don't think the Faceless Void wants to be carrying it to use the Time Walk aggressively, right? So I think you need to give it over to the Mars, have him be the one to pop it with the Blink Dagger and the Fade Grenade, and then you use that to sheep combo afterwards.
Hero? Why not just drop the Soul Arena? Put him in the grave. Easy done like that, Tier 2 tower, and they pressure higher ground. It looks like CIS Rejects are going to respect the defense that NaVi can put out.
You're going to respect the defense, but again, I think it's also just the fact that fighting into this Terrorblade is so much easier if you've got that arena available versus not. So, realizing that Vatoon, even though he hasn't had the most amazing game, he's still second on net worth, 3-0 and 5. Hasn't converted to the rest of the team, though. And they do still need to play around that that Arena of Blood if you want to make it, so they're not coming back into this one. 10% probability, says Gaben, but really can go either way depending on the usage of these arenas.
It can. We haven't seen a team fight in quite some time, though. It's really just been these small skirmishes, no real big 5-on-5, but we're putting ourselves in quite a position where if CIS Rejects win potentially this next fight, then objectives are going to fall very, very fast. With the Lina, with the Nexo, even Void's got plenty of items to be able to help out as well. But we have the lineup where they can hit back. And if they hit back, then we have an even ball game. Although, look at bottom. Lays. Oh, I don't know how he got the read, but great blink out.
Bit lucky there. Depressed Kid is hit into his level 25, so that extra attack range, just another one of those ways to be able to very effectively fight into the Terrorblade.
It's well deserved for NaVi. I mean, we've seen how much this gem has been able to do on CIS Reject, so no one, he's holding his own, and the Puck is always one of the best gem carriers. It's always easy to be able to deal with. I guess you have that gem active now, but just with your mobility, getting across the map, sweeping, making sure you can always take away some of the vision of CIS Rejects. But are they going to get anything out of this Aegis? You got a minute 40 left on Ramses. What's the play on Die? Do you maybe make a play for this tier 2 mid? Do you smoke aggressively into a jungle? What's the call here for them?
I think they can go. I can't really see any major reasons why they might be looking to hesitate. What have they got coming out to him? A Tome, nothing too much for the Mars. So yeah, I'd be looking to try and make use out of it if I could, just while you've still got that arena useful. Double damage, that'll help.
Imagine a DD with an MKB on Depressed Kid. He is getting stupidly farmed. 6-1 and 1. Somehow the Lina even has more last hits than a Terrorblade. Of course, it's very close. 431 compared to the 411. Boots of Travel always helps out with the Lina. But this is scary, man. He's level 25, so has the attack range. First hero to 25, and you mentioned that he's arguably one of the best pairings to be able to dump damage inside the Chrono.
He's farming in the mid lane, kind of on his own, feeling very safe underneath the cover of that Aegis, with the double damage, looking to essentially take a tier 2 solo. Yes, I know Solo is playing the Shadow Shaman.
Alright.
He's preempting it. I know it's coming.
These dad joke, crappy puns. You gotta get a bit better than that. Come on.
I'm just gonna be stagnant.
So, we are seeing like how much of a nuisance this NaVi roster can be. You've got the Puck that can easily split push. Sweet and Strong's just putting himself up top, blasting waves, sending Terrorblade illusions is Vatoon. Even though Die have honestly one of the better lineups to be able to deal with the split push. You've got Depressed Kid with the Boots of Travel. Grimstroke has the Ag Scepter. Just saw him try and take over one of the Terrorblade illusions to help out. But here we go. It's a first smoke in quite some time for NaVi, with the Aegis now not in the hands of Ramses.
Really look to be quite aggressive here on Lays. You can see he's the one kind of pump faking his Rolling Thunder. He wants to be the one that goes first because he's got that Aeon Disc available. No nullifiers available just yet for CIS Rejects. So wants to just put himself in harm's way. It doesn't matter that the Lina is going to be able to just pop the BKB and start hitting into him, even with that Monkey King bar.
Yeah, I don't know how much value he's going to get out of the fight, though. Like, Lays has to target down the Grimstroke and again have a different avenue into the fight than all of the rest of his heroes. And worst case scenario, if the Pango and Puck get leashed together. Otherwise, Lina is just going to kill both of them instantly.
Ooh, you know what this could be? They could be trying to get the...
lane, they're going to go.
Lays.
Rolling Thunder early from Lays. Being small used defense lifted from Roger, so Ramses should be okay. Towards the front still, Vatoon. Is he going to be in trouble? BKB's out. Ramses doesn't have the damage, but he caught no one. Puck standing inside the Chronosphere. Miro, it's a defensive use, but there wasn't a Sunder opportunities. Miro lands the Sphere. That's all they needed. Vatoon's gone. A well-deserved tip as well as Depressed Kid. Oh my, they sense a sign of weakness. The Terrorblade doesn't have a buyback, and CIS Rejects, they could get some objectives now off the back of that fight.
It was a great chrono to be used, right? I thought the fact that he got chain stunned there by Lays, I was a little surprised because you do have that window to pop the BKB. Ramses didn't do it. He still ends up surviving. The real big play that I thought they were going to be going for was they've got this Aghanim Scepter on the Terrorblade, so you can use the Terror Wave with the Dream Coil to perhaps get that snap and try and use that to deal the burst damage after the fact.
Well done, my beauties.
35 seconds till the Terrorblade's back alive. See, they're a bit hesitant though. There was an instant buyback from no one's puck. So if you kill him, Lays? Oh, he was considering it. Really wanted Roger. If you kill the puck again for his third death this game, then all of a sudden there is a bit of a condition here for CIS Rejects.
Yeah, and Puck is honestly in a very weird position. He's getting killed. Oh. There's a dieback. Depressed Kid doing it again.
What happened to the Lincolns?
He just light striked him.
Oh no.
I think he used the Laguna Blade for the Lincoln's break.
Condition met. Do we have a replay on that one? Alright, oh no. There you go. Condition met indeed. You can walk it down now. Uh-oh. Alright, let's see how the defense can shape up. You've got meta.
Got Nullifier as well on Ramses, so this Aeon Disc actually isn't going to be as much value as you might have initially think.
They need to deal with the ward, but they won't be able to fast enough. Great Rolling Thunder from Lays. Is that enough to be able to disrupt the Kondo? Solo is hitting with the Shackles for Tomb with the damage beating into Ramses, but the Faceless Void's not even dead. They only take out the health pool of Ramses as a GG is called. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a game 3 with a celebratory chrono. The CIS Rejects, they'll even up the series.
Get the chance. I'm sure the replays are going to run eventually, but just in that last fight, it's exactly what I've been talking about all game. The Terrorblade into the Mars just feels so weird. If you have a look, you'll be able to see he was trying to hit the Faceless Void for a good 2 or 3 seconds, and he was just hitting into the arena, getting caught out, being into that range form. The Metamorphosis just unfortunately didn't do too much there for NaVi, and like you said, CIS Rejects able to take that one out. Super clutch, and I love the fact that Ramses looked to get a little bit more active. Only 8 kills for the entire game, but it was that BKB, right? It was being that frontliner, trying to catch out the slippery heroes like the Puck. And really, it was on Depressed Kid as the big difference maker there. Yeah, just have a look at this last team fight. Have a look at the Terrorblade. He pops the Metamorphosis. He's standing right on the edge, and you can just see it's hitting into the walls there, not doing any damage. Same sort of thing coming through from other members as well, and yeah, that's the real difference maker.
Yeah, and we see what this Lina can do late game. Like, this is a scary hero. I know a lot of other regions aren't putting as much priority on this hero, but Eastern Europe, they are one of those regions that still feel the power. We saw it in the last meta, that they were always trying to pull it out, recognizing that this is a hero that can be a huge late game threat, a dual core carry potentially, and we saw that be the case. The Faceless Void paired with the Lina. Mira had a completely different game, a turnaround performance for him as well, looked really, really solid on the Mars. And not only that, it was also the itemization. Lina set up. That win condition was there. The win condition met. Get that last kill in the park thanks to the Hex. And now we've set ourselves up for a game 3. It's all on the line here. One more game from either side. At least they lose this series. They're going to drop down to the 3rd place bracket. But you'd love to be able to move on and continue your run here. We'll find out who's going to have that opportunity after the break.